Hello, guys. Are you starting chemistry IB and wondering what it is? Would you like to know more about the syllabus? Would you like to know more about the assessment? So, in this video, I want to give you an overview of the IB chemistry. So, you will be prepared for your first lesson, and you can take also decision. Maybe you are in a position of changing the subject, changing the level from SL to HL or HL to SL, and maybe you are in the position of changing definitely the subject, or maybe you picked another subject like biology or physics, and then you want to give it a trial and opportunity to chemistry as well. Okay, so in this video I will show you that. Okay, guys, I want to start this video by showing you the table of content. So maybe if you are interested in one of these topics more, you can browse and check the number of the slide and you can go to the topic. Okay, I will talk about what is IB chemistry, what is the impact of chemistry. Maybe you have doubts of your fields of action in the future when you decided to study chemistry because you want to pursue some career in the university. I will talk about the distinction between a standard level and higher level. I will talk about the assessment outline for the standard level and also the higher level, which are different, and you need to be aware of this. I will talk about the syllabus roadmap. It means the general structure of the subject. I will talk about the internal assessment, which is the investigation that you have to run. And the internal assessment breakdown is like how the points are distributed in a rubric. And I will end this video by explaining something about the extended essay in chemistry, maybe the advantages of writing this in chemistry, and what could be the topics on this. Okay, so if you are interested in one of these particular topics, just look for the slide, and that will be the develop. But I highly recommend to watch the whole video because I am giving you some hints in order to start your chemistry subject. Okay, guys. First, I want to talk about what is chemistry. As you know, chemistry is one of the subjects of the group 4, so as well as biology and physics. So, first of all, what is the purpose of studying chemistry? So, chemistry, it says that identify patterns to explain matter and microscopic and predict behavior on microscopic level. The thing is that when you understand the microscopic level and you understand how the molecules and how the quantities interact, how matter interact, that is possible for you to predict a general behavior or a behavior in the macroscopic level. I am talking about if you understand the laws of gases in a microscopic level and how is their interactions. Talking about ideal gases, also you will know how the pressure will be and how the force will be affected. So that's why you will understand these two fields. It emphasizes the development of models and explanatory theories. The thing is that models will be the tools we will use to explain different phenomena, right? These models, for example, the model of the atom. And what is the current model of the atom? For you to explain you theories in depth and how the models match or are aligned with these theories in order to create knowledge in chemistry. Okay, as well, it's important to build through creative and rational thinking, because when you understand the model and you understand a theory, you are the one that are creating the bond and you are getting this knowledge in the best way. So they are generalized rules and mathematical laws that are not only for the field of chemistry, they are also very good, and you can apply it in physics, in biology, and in general science. So whether you are thinking about studying medicine or engineering, those laws and these generalized rules that we studied in the subject, they will be very useful for you in your career. Okay, no matter if this is a medicinal science, no matter if this is engineering, this subject will help you to understand and to study and acquire skills in the generalized rules and mathematical laws. Okay, guys, what is the impact of chemistry? And this is a very important topic because this is the subject that you picked because you are interested in study something related with science, and particularly you will require chemistry. Okay, so first, this is the idea. The first idea: science does not happen in isolation. So by knowing the subject, you will acquire many skills that can be interrelated with different subjects like physics and biology. Okay, advances in chemistry, like biofuels or catalysts, have the effect that go beyond the classroom and the laboratory. As you know, there are many applications in science, many applications that you can see around. For example, the catalyst in the petrol station is an example of this advancing chemistry, manufacture of drugs and technology, materials, and many more. Okay, so the communication in chemistry is essential. The thing is that you will have the opportunity to explain your ideas, and you will require the background of chemistry. Okay, so in order to explain findings honestly, and in order to understand how are scientists working and how they are improving our quality of life, this is you need to know how to communicate in a proper way. Okay, so in chemistry you will work in the internal assessment, and you will need to develop this skill of communication. Okay, so here we have the scientific ethics is key. So we have there is one example like Frances Arnold. If you know, she was a Nobel laureate in chemistry. So she voluntarily retracted a published paper in 2019 because the results couldn't be reproduced. So this is one of the examples of how scientific ethics is key. Of course, you can use different tools that facilitate or are making our life easier. The thing is that what is the ethics? What is the ethics behind the work? Okay, you will learn a lot about this as well in your internal assessment and in the subject. Okay, so this is the impact of chemistry. Chemistry is not only an insulated science. Okay, this is a subject that will help you to explain science. Is also a subject that will help you to explain and communicate easily scientific ideas or explanations, general explanations. And also, it's important because you will create this ethic in your work. Okay, so this is the impact of chemistry. In the world, you know about the many impacts. In environmental science, in medicine, and engineering, you can see chemistry around. I don't want to give you detailed information about this because the video will be very long, but this is the general impact and this is what are you picking this subject. Okay. Okay, guys, here we are in one of the most demanded parts and the very common question, and is the distinction between the ESL and the ESL, standard level and higher level. Okay, so first they have the same core, the same topics, but they will be different depth for the higher level. Okay, we are going deeper in the higher level. I will show you more examples. Both share the syllabus structure, so they have the same general structure of the subject. They both have the internal assessment, um, and they will have the collaborative project. This is group 4 project where the students from biology, physics, and chemistry get together in order to achieve and develop one project. So we can talk about this later. More hours, more challenging for the higher level. A higher level covers more content with deeper conceptual and mathematical demands. So Shell dives deeper with more topics, more hours. So this is 240 hours for Shell, and in the SL is only 150. So this is significant more depth in the subjects. To mention some examples, when we study the structure, we will go deeper in the transition metals and orbital theory. For example, when in thermochemistry, with the shell, with the higher level, we're going to talk about more about Gibbs free energy and the relationship with entropy at more um, relationship in order to determine whether a reaction is spontaneous or not. So we are going deeper on that. We will talk about more mechanisms. For example, in organic chemistry, is not only talked about the general functional groups, but we'll talk about different mechanisms of reaction, SN1 and SN2. In electrochemistry, is not only the redox part, like what is being oxidized or reduced or galvanic cells, but we are going deeper by calculating the electron potentials. So this is a little bit of math as well, if we talked about the Nernst equation or things like that. So it's definitely deeper content, and also you will get a strong background for the university. So higher level is recommended when you are studying science. Okay. Here we have a higher level builds stronger connections. The increased breadth and depth in the shall help the students to develop more integrated scientific reasoning. In one of the videos, I mentioned that there are many connections between one chapter and another chapter, or one subtopic and another subtopic. Yes? So, of course, that we need to use this tool more in the higher level topics because they are more and maybe they are more advanced. So, in order to understand um, redox in the level of electrochemical cells and, and the Nernst equation, it's important for you to know the basis of a structure and how elements are losing or gaining electrons. Okay, so this is what I mean with high level builds stronger connections. This is the example. So SL, if you don't want to study something related strongly with medicine or chemical engineering, but if you are definitely going for medicine, a higher level is recommended. If you are going for another engineer, is higher recommended. Please, it's important that you talk to the person in your school that is responsible for to guide you in what the topics you are following. Okay, so this is just the general idea on, in my experience, what are my students studying in order to create their background before university. Okay, guys, this is the assessment. Those are the objectives, assessment objectives. So you will demonstrate your knowledge, you will understand and apply knowledge, you will analyze, evaluate, and synthesize, and you will apply practical and ethical investigation skills. Where are these assessed in? So, paper one, paper two, a scientific investigation for all of them. It's important that you know the assessment objectives, so then you will focus in the what is the one that you think you need to improve the most. Okay, so you will need to answer multiple choice questions, short and extended response questions, and you will need to conduct your own investigation in order to achieve or demonstrate or show these assessment objectives. Okay, so you will apply your knowledge to various question types, you will answer a personal research question, you will interpret, evaluate, and integrate data, respond to multiple forms, and investigate. And you need to plan and carry out an ethical, independent investigation. And as mentioned before, this is very important. Those are the assessment objectives. And now I will show you the assessment outline for the subject. Okay, guys, here we have the assessment outline in the ESL. Okay, so this is the structure for the 2025, 2026, and the coming years. So we have the component and the details. Okay, so first, I will I will show you here this. I will use this laser point. So here we have the paper one. It's 1 hour 30 minutes. So you will have this time in order to answer all the question for paper one. What is paper one? Paper one is divided in paper 1A and paper 1B. So the part A is multiple choice questions. You will have 30 marks. And the paper 1B is database questions, which have only 25 marks. But I think that this is a little bit more challenging because it's only about investigation skills, process data, analyzing data, uncertainties, and I will create another video to explain this paper 1B, which I consider is very challenging. In total, you will have 55 marks, and this paper one is the 36% of the grade. This is the weighting will be 36%. So paper two is a short answer and extended response question. In total is 50 marks, and this is 1 hour 30 minutes. Remember that I am talking about only the SL chemistry, okay? This is 44% of the weighting of the grade, so that's why you will also need to focus a lot of this 44%. So then we have this individual investigation, internal assessment. So this is an investigation that you have to run in the school laboratory, or could be a database investigation. The thing is that here you need to pick a research question. You need to create a research question. Once you create a research question, you have to investigate or create methodologies in order to gather your data, and based on this data you have to analyze it. Before analyze it, you have to process it in the correct way, mentioning uncertainties, of course, showing the proper calculations. But this individual investigation is something that you need to be aware of, because this is the 20% of the weighting, okay? So if you see, this is the weight of the assessment outline for the ESL. Yep. In paper one and paper two, calculator is allowed and data booklet will be provided. So what I recommend is from the first lesson, you print the data booklet because your teacher will use it eventually. And calculator. I think that most of teachers, we are starting with the first chapter, structure one, and this is about stoichiometric relationship, and when you need to make calculations. So I recommend you to go for the first lesson with using calculator. This is the assessment outline for DSL. Okay, guys, here we have the assessment outline for the higher level. So it's different. So the total duration of the external assessment, which is paper one and paper two, will be 4 hours and 30 minutes. Okay. It doesn't mean that you will sit a paper one and paper two, one after the other. Doesn't mean that. It could be even different day. Okay, so paper one, you will have 2 hours to present this test. It also has a paper 1A with multiple choice questions, but in this case we have 40. Remember that these questions are 4 options, A, B, C, and D. And paper 1B with database question, and it has 35 marks. I am doing emphasis in this paper 1B because even though it has less marks, I think it's a little bit more challenging because it's investigation skills, it's database questions, and it's important that you know different techniques as well in the laboratory. The total marks is 75, so it's challenging because you will be seated for 2 hours doing this test. Paper 2 is even more challenging because it is short answer and extended response question. It has 90 marks in total, and the weighting is 44%. So 44 plus 36 is the 80% for the external assessment, and the internal assessment, the same as the ESL, would be 20%, and this is the individual scientific investigation that you will create. Okay, this recommended time of 10 hours is the time provided for the school for you to work on this internal assessment. It could be gathering data in the laboratory, and also it could be writing. Okay. When I'm saying calculator is allowed and data booklet will be provided, this is the date of the test. When you are sitting the test, this you will need to get your calculator and data booklet. A clean one is provided. Okay. So I would like you to get used to using this data booklet, because you will know exactly which is every part. This is the assessment outline for the higher level. Okay, and you will need to been practicing this from the first lesson, I could say. Hey guys, here we have the syllabus roadmap. This is the condense. I will show you the more detailed information. So the structure, area, and the reactivity focus. So in this case, and for this syllabus, chemistry is divided in main things: structure and reactivity. Okay, so a structure will be more about the structure of matter, and reactivity is more about the interaction. Okay, so in a structure one, there we talked about models of the particular nature of matter. In a structure two, models of bonding and structure. A structure three is classification of matter. If you see, is knowing the structure and how the matter is distributed. For example, in structure two, models of bonding and structure, we are talking about shapes of molecules, bonds, how they interact. In model of particular nature of matter, we are talking about the different changes of state and how they are related with the kinetic theory. Okay. In reactivity, reactivity one is what drives chemical reactions. This is what we know as thermochemistry. Yes. How much, how fast, and how far in reactivity two. This is equilibrium and kinetics. And even here we have, yes, equilibrium and kinetics. And in reactivity three, what are the mechanisms of chemical change? This is what we knew as acid and bases and redox. So we are still studying the same topics, the chemistry general topics, but they are distributed in this fashion. Okay. So here we have a structure one. So you will study the structure to the particular matter, nature of matter, the nuclear atom, electron configuration, counting particles by mass, the moles. So if you remember stoichiometry, transferring from moles to grams, gram to moles, and determine a specific yield in a particular chemical reaction. This is what we are going to study there. We have ideal gases interactions. You have studied the laws because you were in the MIP or GCSE in chemistry, and this is ideal gases: Charles, Gay-Lussac, and Boyle, and the ideal equation of gases. In structure two, this is the ionic model, the covalent, the metallic, and from models to materials. So we are talking about in depth a little bit about the materials. In that case, we are studying the ionic or covalent character in depth. This is a structure two. In structure three, we will talk about the periodic table. So the periodic table, here we have the classification of the elements. In structure 2.5, the functional groups and classification of organic compounds. If you see a structure 1, a structure 2, and a structure 3 is about the structure. It's about how the atoms are arranged in order to create the piece of matter, the substance, the molecule, okay? The ionic or the covalent structure, the giant covalent structure or the covalent structure. Here in the left, we have the reactivity. This is the measuring enthalpy changes, energy cycles in reactions. We will talk about energy from fuels, entropy, and spontaneity. So we will go in depth in the additional higher level studying Gibbs free energy and the relationship to determine whether a process is spontaneous or not. Here we have in the reactivity 2, we have how much the amount of chemical change, how fast the rate of chemical change. So this is about the same equilibrium. This is about kinetics. This is about these two topics. How far is the extent of the chemical change? So this is just the higher level part of this part. And reactivity 3 is the proton transfer reaction. This is acid and base interactions, titrations, electron transfer reaction. This is the redox process, electron sharing reactions. When we talked about nucleophilic and electrophilic in organic chemistry, this is there. And electron pair sharing electrons. This is similar to electron sharing reaction, but we see that there are also titrations in the redox field. So those are the structures and the reactivities in this new syllabus. Okay, guys, here we have the internal assessment, SL and HL, 20%. They are exactly the same for the two levels. So this is one open-ended investigation. You will design and carry out an experiment to answer your own research question, just like as real scientists. Maybe if you like a topic very much, this is the opportunity for you to go deeper on this and study. Okay, you can, from a topic that you really enjoy, for example, redox and galvanic cells, you can create your own investigation and think, how could the temperature affect the voltage? Maybe it's been affected by the temperature. Maybe when you studied acid and bases and buffers, you want to test how a buffer works. And acidic got a basic buffer. So maybe you want to develop an investigation about that. Maybe if you are more interested about ionic or covalent structures, maybe you want to run the different analysis of bonding, enthalpies. So here is the opportunity for you to get passionate about one topic and develop an investigation on that. Okay. Remember that this is 20% of your grade and you need to enjoy it. This is assessed through a written report, a maximum of 3,000 words, excluding tables, diagram, equations, and references, and counting for 20% of your final grade, as I mentioned before. Okay, so you have to submit a document of maximum 3,000 words. So in these 3,000 words, you have to put your investigation in detail. You have to put all your data, all your analysis. You have to explain the procedures. You have to explain the degree on uncertainty. You also have to explain just calculations and how you get to one conclusion, only in 3,000 words. Okay, it could be challenging, but if you have the correct guide, it will be easy and straightforward for you. The details required, you need to start with the title, your IB code, word count, and course group members if applicable. No need for a cover page. Those are the general key details required for the presentation of the first page. Sometimes I have students talking about I'm worrying about the word count or the titles or the cover page, but the most important is finding your research question, one that you really like and something that you can run in your school laboratory. Or you have the software or you have the tools in order to develop that investigation. So here we have the internal assessment criteria breakdown. So I will create a video specifically talking about every criterion and how to achieve the highest mark for each criterion. I will create this and I will share this. Research and design, you will have maximum marks of 6. The weighting is 25%. So here we have the weighting and here we have the maximum amount of marks. Data analysis, conclusion, evaluation, and they add up 24 marks to get 100% of the weighting. So I think this is easy because this 20% is in your hands. And if your teacher support this process of designing a research question, if you have the correct materials and you gather the correct setup, you gather the correct data using a setup, so you will get a good research question. You don't have to be right about your hypothesis, but you need to show that you understood the process of running an investigation in chemistry. Data analysis is where you will show all the calculations, and is where you will talk about uncertainties. You will talk about the propagation of uncertainties. You need to talk about the equations, the deviation of the data. You will talk about in detail. This is the numbers part. The conclusion, this is how you interpret your data, what will be the outcome of your investigation. And in the evaluation, you just need to explain what are your improvements after running the investigation. You need to show to the examiner what are the corrections or what you learn from this process. Okay, so this is the criterion breakdown. If you have more doubts about this internal assessment, of course, you can write me in the comments and I will be there answering questions. But I will definitely create a video about this internal assessment for you to access and create your own. Okay, guys, here we are in the final part of the presentation. We have the extended essay. I put optional because from one of the subjects that you are studying in the IB, you can pick the topic that you like. So this is not mandatory. If you are already, it's mandatory the internal assessment for the science that you pick, but the extended essay could be from one of the subjects that you are studying. Okay. So this is an independent research project. It has 4,000 words essay. It's an essay where the students explore a topic of personal interest. Okay. This is similar to the internal assessment, but the difference is mainly the background information, which is wider and must be stronger. So you have to show a deeper understanding on the subject, on the topic particular, and also you have to run an investigation. It could be a laboratory investigation. It means that it requires the laboratory to gather the data, or it could be also an investigation using software or models. Okay, so this is a university level writing because you have to referentiate and you need to create a biography using MLA or APA, which are the reference to create situations as references. It essay develop formal, structured writing and critical thinking skills expected in higher education. So this could be the preparation for your university. Okay, so if you want to push yourself further in one topic, this is the best opportunity. So this is a cross-disciplinary option, can be written as word studies, extended essay combining two IB subjects with global relevance. Is not only the science. Last year, I had a student that created her investigation in business and chemistry. This was a beautiful extended essay, and also you can do it. Okay, so this cross-disciplinary option. Guys, my final word for this is the IB chemistry is challenging, yes, but it's very rewarding. So it's one of the most intellectual rewarding subjects. I love it. So I will continue creating this kind of content. So you can subscribe, and you will be up to the this content. So I will also create some tutorial from different chapters. Okay. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this is very useful for you. If you have any question, please let me know in the comments. Have a good one.